Hello everyone, my name is Legendaries and this game is Rise of Kingdoms. Today is gonna be Edward Day. Commander Spotlight Edward. This is what we're gonna talk about in this video. Everything that we can tell you about Edward. Now, before we get forward, there's a couple of things you need to know, and the primary one is that talents only apply from the primary commander. They work on the second in command and your army, but they only apply from the primary one. Equipment only apply from the primary commander, but it also works for the second in command. Next things you want to know is how expensive are legendaries to upgrade, and I have these two pictures over here that I put them on all my Commander Spotlight videos, just so you guys know approximately the amount of stars that you need for legendaries. There are epics because that's how the picture was made. This is just a roughly number, this is just an approximate number, and the sculptures. So after you summon him, which requires 10, you need another 690 legendary sculptures, either universals or specific ones, whichever, but 690, that's for sure. Right, so let's take this out of the way. And one more thing that you're probably interested about, I'm just gonna pop it at the beginning of the video. Maybe you don't want to hear what I have to say for the rest of the video about Edward, so I'm just gonna pop it now. So it's his talent build. This is one of the talent build that I would actually be inclined to use with Edward, and I would advise you to use with Edward. Now the reason is because of his primary skill. Probably would have been better to go through his skills, but I just want to show the picture because probably some people just care about that. So if you go at the primary skill, you're noticing that he has a specific rage requirement way different than the majority of the commanders, which it's 1350, and that's quite a lot. So that's for one reason why I am actually going with feral nature on Edward. Now the other stuff that I got from the archer is obviously more skill damage, more rage restoration, and obviously more attack for your archers, because he is so much inclined on just doing damage. You just want to empower that and make him even more powerful. Now if you want to try the other talent build, is on my Discord, which is on LCD. That's the talent build that I use on all my archers as of right now. LCD is just low level to even apply this talent build right now, but this is the talent build that I'll actually try with Edward. Right, now obviously let's go to his skills. Let's talk about some of his pairings. And if you're wondering why I'm actually doing a Commander Spotlight without even using this commander, is because I have seen him in action in the Lost Kingdom. There is a lot of players that have maxed him out the moment it came up in the wheel. So that's the only way you can get Edward as of right now. It's only in the wheel event. So that's the reason I'm doing the Commander Spotlight, because I have seen him in action and he is quite formidable. He's doing impressive large amount of damage. You're noticing his primary skill, 1350 rage restoration with a direct damage factor that goes up to 2500. Well, that is insane. And if you put him as a second in command, is 1250. And I have to say from now that this guy needs to be a primary in command. He has no room as a second in command. You want to use him as a second in command, that's a dead investment. So if you ever want to invest in Edward, I would say that he definitely needs to be primary commander, and I would advise you that you set him up as a primary commander. One more thing that you notice on his primary skill that gives 100% chance to reduce rage of Edward's troops. He's gonna reduce his own rage. So after he does his primary skill, whatever rage he managed to accumulate on that turn, it's gone. It doesn't go under, so the rage doesn't go on minus. So let's say if he managed to acquire 200, he's gonna reduce his own rage by 300, so that 200 rage is gone. So that's the time when he's reducing rage, because I was checking the rage bar when he was battling. Secondary skill, Archer health bonus and Archer march speed. That's pretty interesting that he has Archer's health bonus. Not sure that Archers actually benefit so much from the health, but it's extra stats. So, you know, WTF to that. Extra strats, it's always welcome. March speed. Third skill. Skill damage bonus up to 25%. Damage to infantry units increased by 5%. So this is a permanent 25% skill damage bonus. We know that are some other Archer commander that have skill damage bonus, and that would be YSG, which is quite interesting about that build, isn't it? Then he has his fourth skill, which whenever the army led by this commander is at 70% straight or higher, increase attack of archers by 15% and decrease defense by 10%. So it goes up to 40% attack bonus on archers while his army is above 70%. That's pretty significant. 40% attack bonus plus the other bonuses. That's quite an insane amount of stats on your archers. All or nothing. Increase normal attack and counter attack damage by 50% for 2 seconds after using a skill. That's huge numbers, guys. That's huge number. Even though it's only for 2 seconds, that's still huge numbers. Now, on the reports that I have seen from Edward, he is doing quite impressive amount of damage and quite fast damage. Not necessarily that fast damage, but still quite fast. The pair was Edward with YSG. Now I'm not sure if they used the talent build with the full feral nature or they went with the full archers. I'm not entirely sure which actual talent build they used, but what I have noticed, because of his 4th skill, the moment the rally was going under 70% strength, the damage was being downgraded quite significant. So what I would say that this commander is really good at, he's good at poking. Now what I'm trying to say by poking? It means that you launch rally with Edward leading, and let's say you want to put YSG or Tomiris as a second in command. I would not suggest El Cid. Definitely not El Cid. He's definitely not going to work with Frederick. He is a commander that only works with a very limited amount of commanders, and that's gonna be YSG and Tomiris. We're gonna get there as well. So I have noticed that the moment the rally was going under 70% strength, the damage was dropping down significantly. So by poking, I mean that he is a very good commander that you launch rallies, you just cause damage, and the moment the rally goes under 70% and you start doing less damage, you just disband the rally. This is how I actually see this commander performing very well. Even if the rally was not disbanded, as I mentioned, the damage was still very high, but I was noticing a very visual difference. So he was doing from 115k, 100k nukes with his primary skill. He was dropping to like 50-60k. That's pretty significant. 70k. So that's quite a high percentage from 40% attack bonus the moment the rally was dropping under 70%. So that's my advice with him. Also on the battlefield, he would be one commander that I would not try to use on the battlefield. First of all, his single target, he needs a lot of rage, and having decreased defense as just a single march, he's gonna take way too much damage. If he gets swarmed, he's done. So he's definitely not a battlefield commander, but he's 100% a very good archer rally commander. Now going forward, his best second in command commander, in my opinion, is going to be Tomiris. The reason I'm saying Tomiris is because her poison factors. She will definitely manage to get 10 stacks or over 10 stacks. That means that whenever Edward is going to do his primary skill, when Tomiris is going to do her primary skill, there's going to be at least over 10 stacks on this, and that's 1000 damage factor plus another 800, or probably even more. If it's 12-13 stacks, it's probably another 1000. So there's going to be one huge nuke followed by another huge nuke. And there's a 100% chance probability that on your each attack, once you maxed out this skill, you apply poison that stacks up to 15 times. Poison a target will take an additional 3% skill damage. So if you have, let's say, 10-11 stacks, by the time Edward is gonna do his primary skill, that's another 33% skill damage. On top of that, you have attack on your archers, so that's a permanent attack, and you have a chance to decrease the defense, which imagine if it actually happens when you're doing the nuke. So overall, this particular build has been made to be together. Edward primary, Tomiri secondary. There's no question about it. Obviously, Edward works with YSG. As I said, they are a very viable combination and they actually work really good. But my personal opinion is that Edward was made to work with Tomiris for rally specific. Now, Tomiris also has a conquering talent tree, and because she has a conquering talent tree, that means she also has a talent for when you attack cities. When attacking cities, increase normal attack damage and decrease counterattack damage. If you're using them to attack cities, you're doing way more damage to cities just because of the payback on top of everything. And then you have her expertise, which increase normal attack and counterattack damage by 10%. So it's obviously gonna stack with Edward's normal attack and counterattack, and Edward is actually gonna compensate, decrease the counterattack damage, which apparently seems to be only 10%. So basically she's gonna level that with her passive skill. That's very interesting. They could have just not add that, it will probably be the same thing. Anyway, this is why I would say that Edward primary, Tomiri secondary, they're gonna be the deadly duo with archers. But it works with YSG as well. You even have more rage restoration because of YSG second skill, and obviously more archer attack bonus. But still, I would say that Edward and Tomiris, you know, they are gonna be the best pair, or Edward and YSG. Again, my advice, if you want to work or if you want to invest on Edward, is only rally oriented. He's not doing a very great performance on the open battlefield. The moment he's getting swarmed, even YSG himself, whenever he's getting swarmed, he's not surviving very long. That's one of the reasons people are asking me, why do you use Kusunoki on the battlefield with your YSG? Since I'm talking about Archer commanders, I can sidetrack a little bit from Edward. That's the one reason why I'm using Kusunoki with my YSG, because Kusunoki removes all negative and control effects from Kusunoki troops. Because, you know, whenever you get swarmed in, you get a lot of debuffs, defense, attack, damage reduction, all sorts of debuffs that exist from all commanders. And this guy, whenever he's doing his primary skill, he doesn't just do AoE, but he also removes all the negative and control effects. On top of that, I get 15% archer defense, which I would say that it actually gives me a little bit more defensive option, if you want to call it like that, with my archers. They're gonna last a little bit longer on the battlefield. Normal attacks of troops have a 10% chance to deal additional damage, and this is another reason why I use Kusunoki. I really like his primary and I really like his fourth skill plus his expertise. So these are the things that I like about Kusunoki. Obviously he's a Garrison commander, and he has this Garrison skill, which I'm not so happy about it, but all the other skills I really like. That's the main reason why I pair him with YSG. It does help YSG survive a little bit longer on the battlefield because of the primary skill. He works, YSG with Frederick also works very well on the battlefield because of the 50% troops capacity. It actually makes a difference whenever you get swarmed in, and if you don't get targeted, you have healing factor, which triggers pretty often, every 5 seconds it does trigger, and it will keep your troop count high, and then you can keep AoE, 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 and whichever target you're hitting, Frederick is definitely gonna lay down some hate. So there's plenty of options for archers right now that you can use on the battlefield, but again, Edward is pretty much made for rallies, and with Tomiris as a second in command. Now, I hope that's pretty much everything about Edward, and I hope I covered everything. If you have any questions, you can always drop in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them. Until next time, my friends, this is your boy Legend Ronnie, signing off. Peace out, yo, and take care.